Hello and welcome to this week's e-lesson. Today we're going to be discussing how to adjust your macros and nutrient timing. So let's get started. Now that you're on week 5, you're most likely seeing your body change and progress, and you probably have questions on how to adjust your macros as well as how to just fine-tune your nutrition pre and post workout, and that's what we're going to talk about. So let's get started. Okay, so I put together a little visual if this then that type of scenario so that it will be a little bit easier for you to see. So this is with the goal of body fat loss. If you're not carb cycling and you've lost weight each week, I encourage you to continue on with no change. There's no need to go into a further caloric deficit if your body is still losing weight on the macros. However, if you are maintaining or gaining weight and you are adhering to your macros within 5 to 10 grams every single day, and it's been 2 weeks. The reason we say 2 weeks is because, like you learned last week's video, your weight can fluctuate for a number of reasons. And so we don't want you to look at your gaining weight, what that 1 week for your progress tracker, and have that be your end all be all. That's your weight fluctuates. So we want you to be consistent for at least 2 weeks, 14 days within adhering your macros 5 to 10 grams every single day before you look at dropping your macros. Now here, if you have 14 days, you've been adhering to your macros and you're still either hit a plateau or you're gaining weight, we then encourage you to take a moderate approach and drop your macros 5 to 8 grams of carbs per day and 2 to 3 grams of fat. This will allow you the opportunity to pick a number within here. If you are hitting your macros spot on every single day, I would go on the lower end of the spectrum, 5 grams of carbs per day. If you are spot on every day, and same with fat, I would do 2 grams of fat to drop. However, if you are a little bit lenient with your macros, I would go to the higher end. So I would drop 8 grams of carbs and 3 grams of fat per day. If you are carb cycling and you've lost weight, we encourage you to stay with your carb cycle and continue on your macros. There's no need to change a system that's not broken. However, if you are maintaining or gaining weight, we encourage you to move on to the next phase of the carb cycle. So in your PDF, you'll see the different carb cycles, cycle phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, phase 4, phase 5. If you've gone 2 weeks adhering to your macros within 5 to 10 grams every day on your carb cycle for 2 weeks and you're still hit a plateau or you've gained weight, we then encourage you to keep the same macros but take the different approach. For example, if you're on phase 1, you then move on to phase 2 carb cycling, but you keep the same macros. That's important to understand. There's no need to change your macros when you are carb cycling because your carb cycle is going to change your weekly macro intake anyways. So when you are carb cycling and you maintain and or gain weight 2 weeks adhering to your macros within 5 to 10 grams, then you can move on to phase 2. And then, for example, if that happens again, then move on from phase 2 to phase 3, same macros, and so on and so forth. What we recommend is to go through all the phases and exhaust your efforts before you change your macro ratio. So I hope this helps you with body fat loss. Next, we're going to be talking about reverse dieting. So with reverse dieting, you're not going to be carb cycling, so you don't have to worry about that. And it's the opposite approach. So you are trying to maintain your weight or you might be losing weight on a higher intake of calories. So for example, if you maintained your weight or you lost weight, we encourage you that week, the next week following, to increase your macros 3 to 5 grams of carbs per day and 2 to 3 grams of fat per day. This is a slow approach. We want to make sure that when you are reverse dieting, you are not shocking your body. Instead, you are being slow and consistent to allow your body the opportunity to catch up and process food at a faster rate. Therefore, you're able to eat more and either maintain your weight or you might be losing weight. So in the slow approach, again, if you're adhering to your macros and you are maintaining your weight or you've even lost weight, we encourage you to increase your caloric intake, your carbs, 3 to 5 grams of carbs per day, 2 to 3 grams of fat per day. In the case that you've gained weight, we encourage you to stay 1 more week, so 2 full weeks on those macros, adhering again within 5 to 10 grams, no more, no less. That way you're staying consistent. So that way you are allowing your body the opportunity to catch up to itself. And most times, if you give your body enough time, you will not gain weight. Your body will hit a plateau, and most likely it will start to maintain, which is what you want in a reverse diet. Slow, consistency, and patience are the key to a successful reverse diet. The next topic that I'm going to be talking about is non-training days and how to adjust your macros accordingly. So what we suggest is that you only do one full rest day per week, and on that full rest day is when you're adjusting your macros. There's no need to adjust your macros on your active rest day because you are still being active in some way, shape, or form, even if it's not your daily routine. So on your non-training days, we encourage you to take your carb intake and times that by 0.80 to get the daily amount of carbs that you should be eating on your non-training day. And then your proteins and your fats will stay the same. Allow your body the opportunity to rest, rejuvenate, and recuperate and get ready for a new week of training. The next topic that we're going to be talking about is nutrient timing. I want to highlight something that this is not necessary. However, it can help you kickstart your recovery process, but we suggest that you don't start to even dabble into nutrient timing if A, you are still having a hard time fitting in your macros in a 24-hour window, or B, you haven't been on this macro program for about 5 weeks consistently. We don't want you to get confused with nutrient timing and feel overwhelmed, which will lead you to deprogress in your journey. We don't want that. So nutrient timing is only for people who are feeling confident, ready to conquer a new level and a new step in their journey, and you are having no issues fitting your daily allotted macros into your 24-hour window, as well as staying consistent overall. So let's get started into nutrient timing and how it works. Okay, so I know nutrient timing can get a little bit confusing, so that's why I wanted to kind of give you a visual so that you're able to see. But basically, like we said, nutrient timing just allows you to kickstart the recovery process and allows your body to utilize and optimize the macronutrients that you are eating pre and post workout. So this is just what time of day do you work out. So if you work out in the morning, pre-workout, we suggest 25% of your carb daily intake for breakfast and 8 or less fats. So this means 8% or less of your daily fat intake you want to do pre-workout. Post-workout, it's the same on fats, but it's 30% carbs. So take 30% carbs for your daily allotment, and that will be your post-workout along with 8% or less fats. And the remainder of your day, just divide equally for the remainder of carbs that you have and fats that you have left. Divide that with the number of meals that you're having. And one thing to note with nutrient timing, your protein will always stay the same. So don't worry about changing your protein up. All we're worried about is carbs and fats. So for a midday afternoon workout, your meal 1 would be not a pre or post workout meal. It would be your first meal of the day. You would do 15% carbs and 42% fat. The reason your fat intake is so high for your meal 1 is because we like to keep our fats lower for pre and post workout. So the remainder of your fats for the day after you do meal 1, pre and post meals will be higher for each meal. But for this example, meal 1, 15% carbs, 42% fats. So those are your daily allotment. Pre, 30% carbs, 8 or less percent of your fat intake. Post, same, 30% carbs, 8 or less percent of your fat intake. And then again, the remainder of your carbs, fats, and proteins will just be divided depending on how many snacks or meals that you have for the remainder of the day. For PM, you're gonna do meal 1, meal 2, and pre. And then post-workout is just the remainder of your macros. So for meal 1, it will be 15% carbs, 42% fats. Meal 2 will be 25% carbs, 42% fats. And then pre-workout will be 30% carbs and 8% or less fats. And then post-workout will just be the remainder of your fat intake as well as the remainder of your carbs and proteins, and just divide that. It's most likely going to be 1 or 2 meals since you are working out in the evening, depending on how late you stay up. But this is the breakdown. We will also have a bonus PDF for you so that you're able to see what the breakdown is, so that you'll have that as a reference. And like we said, we don't suggest this for everybody. However, if you are wanting to take the next step in your journey and kickstart your recovery process and you're feeling really confident with macro counting, this is another tool that you can add to your toolbox in your journey. I hope that this video is helpful for you. Today we talked about how to adjust your macros on a body fat loss or reverse diet phase. Then we went into how to adjust your macros on non-training days. And then we finally just wrapped up with how to do nutrient timing. If you have an AM workout, a midday workout, or a PM workout. Again, all of these tools and resources will be available to you on a bonus PDF, so be sure to check your email. I look forward to connecting with you guys in our Ledbetter Facebook group this week, and I will see you next week for our e-lesson on how to adjust macros between changing goals. So if you're changing from a body fat loss phase to a reverse diet or vice versa, how to do that. So I'll see you guys then.